What's up, you guys? Welcome to my workout. Today is February 23, 2024. This is my actual workout. It's not intended as a tutorial, instructional, nor a recommendation to do what I do, because oftentimes what I do might be considered dangerous or just outright wrong. So I'm doing this just because I'm going to do this workout whether I'm recording it or not, but if on the breaks I can share some of my ideas on what and why I'm doing something with the hopes that it's helpful to somebody, to you, then I'm cool with that. So today I'm going to be doing, I posted a video, I don't know, several days ago on an exercise called the dumbbell swing. And I'm going to be, and that was, I'll put a link to that if I remember to in the description. But today I'm going to build on that, because that is actually the foundation of, to me, a very important exercise. It's in this case, I'll be using a kettlebells, the kettlebells for the jump swing. And I'll be going over that in a moment. As I get older, I notice that it's a natural inclination of my body to want to avoid the things, a lot of the activities that I used to be able to easily do in younger years. One of the ways I kind of define aging for myself is having to pay dearly, or having to pay for something now that I used to get for free when I was younger. So in my younger years, I could just get out of a chair any moment and jump and kick and sprint and roll and tumble. And now just getting up out of the chair, that on some days can be quite a ordeal. So, but I found that if I let, especially faster, more ballistic movements, if I avoid those too long, then it affects everything else, even the slower movements that I do. So anyway, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to start warming up. I have not, as always, I didn't do any warm up, no cardio, no foam rolling, no stretching. I'm just going to do a light version of the exercise I'm going to do today. Okay, so here we go. I'm wearing Vivo Barefoot Primus Light Knit shoes. They do sponsor my video, so I'm going to talk to you just real quick about these shoes. But you don't have to buy them. I'm just going to talk about them. I'm wearing shoes today, not because Vivo sponsors me and gives me these wonderful shoes. This is, of all the Vivos I've tried, the most minimal or minimalist shoe. In my opinion, it's very light. It's the closest thing to being barefoot that I can get. Yet it protects my feet from some of the rigors of what I'm about to do, the landings. It keeps the skin on the bottoms of my feet. All right, so first I'm going to just warm up an outside the leg swing. These two kettlebells, they look huge, but they're light. They are 12 kilograms or 26 pounds each. Okay. Whew. All right. So as I'm doing that, I am on about a 4-degree grade. This walkway is angled, so that the nature of that puts me on my heels, which for this is fine. So my weight distribution on the outside the leg swing is going to be more on the back half of my feet, and I'm exhaling on the way down, inhaling on the way up. The reason why I do that is as my muscles shorten and contract to generate energy to move these weights, they are consuming oxygen and energy substrate. So if, as that's occurring, I can simultaneously be taking in oxygen. It's relaxing, it's reassuring to my nervous system, and it actually helps me to connect to the movement. Also, it trains my diaphragm to function, and my breathing apparatus, but especially my diaphragm, to function under duress. Getting compressed into this position while still being able to lower my diaphragm into my abdominal cavity is a function to me that's as or more important than moving all of this stuff. So it's an internal capacity that I want to strengthen and maintain, or maintain and strengthen, I should say. Okay, one more time. I'm also swinging these bells in what I call a wedge pattern. Side to side would seem to make sense, and I might change things as I go along here, but right now, just so I don't have to worry about my legs, this works pretty well. Now I'm adding my toes and my ankles. So my stance is narrow. With a narrow stance, I'm going to enter my knee and hip joint angles quicker. In a wider stance, it takes longer for me to get a small angle in my hips and my knees. So any restrictions I have here, the normal compensation would be valgus collapse, or deviation of my thighs inwards to try and find space that might be lacking. Could also be to compensate for deficiencies in the glute medius and other lateral stabilizers of my hips and my thighs. All right, once again, so now it might look like I'm pushing with my toes, and I am, but what's really bringing me onto my toes as I'm accelerating the bells from here, and they're gaining speed and exerting centrifugal force against me at the top here, they're actually pulling me onto my toes. My job is not to provide force with my calves. My job is to use my calves to prevent the kettlebells from pulling me forward. And to a degree, my tibia, my anterior tibialis, or the tibs right here, once I'm up here, to prevent me from my feet flipping under me, the tibs also have to eccentrically decelerate and stop all of this energy. So what looks like a calf exercise, it kind of is, but in a way it's a very functional training of the tibialis anterior. Like if your dogs are walking and they pull you all of a sudden, you need to have this ability, not disability, but this ability to not get pulled onto your face. Or if you're pushing a heavy shopping cart and somebody steps in front of you, you need to be able to go, whoa, and decelerate and brake. It's a very important function that shows up in real life, and it can avoid a lot of injuries, both yours and other people's, and even your dogs. Okay, so once again, on all of my sets, warm-ups and working sets, because I need to practice a different skill every day, I rarely get too tired on any given set. All right, so still kind of warming up. Okay. Now, I used to say that I practice jumping. I no longer say that I practice jumping because there is a common belief that jumping can be a dangerous activity, and things like jump rope and just jumping in general result in injuries. I believe that jumping itself is fine. It's landing from the jump, that's where everything goes wrong. And yeah, I know it's all semantics because we can say, well, a jump is leaving the earth and then landing. And if you want to go with that, that's fine. But I like to break them down. The jump is the concentric or positive portion where I'm actively exploding upwards. And then the landing is the negative or the eccentric portion where I have to take all of that energy that I produced to get my body mass and whatever's with me up in the air, but then also reabsorb that, and if need be, recycle some of that into another movement. Okay, so that's why when I jump, the landing, I don't care how far or how high I jump. I only care how well I land, how efficiently and symmetrically I attenuate and absorb the force of my landing. So, as a lot of you know, my left knee, it gets a little bit pissy on certain, well, it's always pissed, honestly, but it's very tolerant of movements, and if I kind of ease into a lot of these things, what initially feels like something that I shouldn't do, it becomes okay. So, got a little off balance there. So as I'm pushing, testing my left knee, okay, so it's about as good as it's going to get. The next step from the outside the leg swing and just adding that we'll call triple extension, the extension of the ankles, the knees, and the hips right here. Once that's going, then we can go. All right, so there's vertical jumping, then there's kind of more horizontal jumping. The horizontal jumping to me is more important because that seems to occur more in my life. So the forces entering the joints at diagonal but more horizontal angles or vectors, if you will, those I believe are harder to absorb and to redistribute through the system than more axial landings, where like taking a stick and just jamming it into the ground. That is easier on the stick than taking the stick at a 45-degree angle and jamming it into the ground where it can flex upwards. Same thing happens to your bones and your joints on these types of landings. And that's a reason why we don't want to, or I don't want to avoid practicing this, because I can jump rope a long time, but that's no good if when I do this, things break. Okay, so I'm just gonna practice here, just body weight only. I'm gonna focus on a smooth, symmetrical, I wanna feel my feet. I don't jump with my legs, I jump with my feet. So, all right, that feels pretty good. Once again. I no longer debate people about landing because I'm on a slight grade here. The nature of my landing is not going to be in my toes, and when I start jumping with these bells, landing on my toes is just not going to be on the table. So, but let's see here. Okay, I was feeling pretty good. Let's go one more time. One more time. Okay, one more time. Yes, I'm landing on my heels and I'm landing flat-footed. But if after my feet make contact, I am using what's above my feet to absorb that landing, it seems to be okay. All right, now we add these. These will both help me. They can actually help pull me through space. And on the landings, they demand a little bit more out of me than just my body weight, obviously. And I like having the kettlebells in my hands because they also, if when I land, I'm in a position after absorbing the bells to jump again, then that landing was correct. So the bells will teach me what my body weight cannot. If I'm a little bit off, one foot's a little bit in front of the other, one foot is turned out a little bit, one shoulder is more protracted than the other one, any of those things, then recycling into a second repetition, it's not going to happen. Okay, so I'm not concerned about jumping far. I'm concerned about jumping as well as I can, landing as well as I can, and if that happens, I'll know because I can then enter another jump. So okay. And as you can see, I'm not getting real worked up here. I'm not getting aggressive or amped, or I'm actually trying to be calm. I'm trying to focus on feeling a smooth swing out of the legs, a smooth transition into my feet. And if that's smooth, we just boom, boom. All right. Now I am trying to get even toe line, even foot rotation, and not having my knees collapse, but that's not always going to happen. The reality of things is that there's a lot of moving parts here, and not all of them are going to click in to the right place, and that's okay too, because in real life, when you're out playing soccer, you're on a field, whatever, you're not going to have the luxury of even toe line, even toe rotation. There's going to be lots of things, uneven ground, many variables. So if things get a little dicey, if the knees collapse, you should be able to take that as well. So yeah, but I still try for those things because part of the training is to do things well. My weight distribution on my feet, let me explain that. My feet are not just flat things. My heel through the outer edge and then tippy toe, focus pushing off the ball of the ball of the big toe and the number 2 toe. So when I'm here, I'm on the heel. As I'm transferring from the heel to the front of my foot, I'm coming through the broad outer edge or that blade, the outer lateral aspect of my foot. But then once my heel starts to leave, I quickly transfer to the ball of the big toe and the number 2 toe. And by the way, I consider my big toe separate from my foot. So the big toe is its own muscle system. I found if I regard it that way, then things go much better for my feet and the rest of my body. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so in that one, my left knee on the second jump, it gave out a little bit. You might not have seen it because I was perhaps out of the angle, but on that second jump on my landing, there was a little bit of this because the knee was sensing too much pressure. So to unload it, my body just kind of ditched off to the side, and that's okay. I felt that. I'm aware of that. Let me make sure this is still rolling. Cool. Okay. See if we can finish this before the ugly lights turn on. Once again, I'm not conditioning with this. You notice I'm not sweating, I'm not out of breath, but and I'm changing my breathing now to a more conventional exhale on the exertion. I'm no longer inhaling as I push off and exhaling on the landing because I'm going a little bit more for power, and being able to blow everything out when I land, it does allow me to stabilize the landing a little bit better. All right, one more time. Okay. Those landings are feeling better. The second jump is getting better. So now I'm going to try and add a little bit more to that to see if I can get a longer jump as well as a longer second jump. Okay. I think I'm videotaping in slow motion here. And for these types of exercises, I do like to videotape in slow motion because, like I said, there's a lot of moving parts to this exercise, especially on the landing, and I can see everything that goes wrong. And that's hopefully what allows me to reverse engineer what I'm doing, do it better, and maybe even explain it to you, at least as I see it. Okay, let's go one more time then. Okay. First jump landing was not that great. It was okay. What I might have forgot to do was double X my posture, extended spine, expanded rib cage. That ensures that there's no give or slack in my spine or in my body, that as these two weights that are on each side of it, as they start to exert their individual forces on me, if I'm already slack or a little tilted off to the side, they're just gonna amplify that. But if I start right from here, clean slate, here, let's see how this goes. That did feel better. Okay, so let's do that one more time, and then it might be time to go in. Like I said, seriously, I don't get real worked up on any of my workouts. I don't actually call them workouts myself. I call them practice sessions, where I'll just take one movement or skill and I'll practice it as best as I can for a short period of time. I rarely take anything to failure. and then I go in so tomorrow I can practice another skill. Okay. Yeah, double X posture, that is helping both me transfer the energy from my legs into the upper body and into the kettlebells, and also by keeping this tall, very tight centered chassis on the landing. When I absorb that landing, I'm not now wiggling and jiggling. Gosh, it's raining. Okay, one more time, and then that light's gonna go on and it's time to go in. All right, so double X posture, extended spine, expanded rib cage. All right. That's feeling kind of nice. We'll go one last time on that. So every time I come up like this, I am trying to make myself taller and broader. The next one, even taller and broader than that. When all the slack in the system is taken up, that's when I launch. All right, here we go. All right. That's enough. Joints are feeling a little better. I don't know if I mentioned, it's day 13 of my peptide therapy with Merrick Health. I want to shout out to them for helping me with my treatment protocol. And if you guys have any gut health issues, you might want to check out Peptides, because within 3 days, that big difference in my guts. Well, we'll go over my guts later on. It's dinner time. I don't want to talk about my guts. Whew. Okay. A little dynamic stretching. Ooh, left side. Right in here. Linkages. Let's see from the side. Here. Now it's coming together. It's starting to hook up. Right side. Okay. All right, we're done. If you're still here, thank you so much. I really appreciate you watching. And it's Friday, so you guys have a great weekend. Much aloha.